The search for true love can be harmful to your body. Shanisha Fletcher will tell you about that in this program of Brooklyn 45, where you'll also meet two young academic achievers. But we begin with Michelle McClymont, who will be chatting with Brian Cunningham, a small business services specialist.
Hi, today I'm sitting here with Brian Cunningham, who is the Director of Small Business Services for the New York City Council. And I have a few questions to go over with Brian in regards to Brooklyn and the way that it's moving. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, good. Not a problem. So, Brian, Brooklyn is really moving in a lot of different directions. And I just wanted to have a discussion with you and your thoughts and what you think is going to happen with Brooklyn and where it's moving and the kind of like the past and in your capacity, what do you see that others don't see?
Yeah.
And if we can kind of talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
So what do you see that's really happening within Brooklyn economic development right now?
Well, obviously, Brooklyn has become the economic hub of the world, and that's no secret. New York City has always been the fourth largest budget in the entire country, right behind the federal budget, the state budget of California, the state budget of New York, and the city of New York. But Brooklyn has become the epicenter of the world at this point. People are moving to Brooklyn in droves, and outside of them just moving their residential location, they're also moving their business locations to Brooklyn. And obviously with Hillary Clinton launching her campaign bid, obviously that means more dollars for Brooklyn in terms of spending in local communities.
Okay. Is there a fear of, because you see all of the construction going on, do you feel like there's a fear of there's just not going to be enough space for everyone and not enough businesses and to kind of handle the capacity that's going to come to Brooklyn?
Well, I think clearly we've seen those arguments over the last few years in terms of residential properties going up. Buildings are getting taller, obviously, and a lot of these buildings now are accounting for commercial space underneath, which I think is a great opportunity as you increase the amount of residents, to increase the amount of commercial spaces we have below those residencies to fulfill some of the overlapping needs that folks are going to have.
So let's talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
because you have the new buildings coming up, and then you have business owners who are going to move in and take those commercial spaces. But what happens to the small businesses that's been around for 15, 16 years?
So that's not actually where my fear is. My fear is actually for the small mom and pop stores that we've had traditionally in Brooklyn and throughout the city of New York, which made New York a real authentic experience for a lot of folks coming in. What we've noticed now is that when you notice a CVS, not to put CVS on blast, and you have a TD Bank and a Planet Fitness move in the community, a lot of the local bodegas begin to close down. A lot of them can't compete with the new rent prices that are moving from where they were paying probably $1,000, $3,000 a month to now doubling and tripling to $7,000 and $14,000 a month. So we are seeing, in some sense, Brooklyn looking more like big box business opposed to some of the smaller local mom and pop shops that we were used to seeing when we were growing up.
Yeah, that is a great concern. So what are some policies that you think are being put in place in order to help those small business owners? Because, rent and landlords is a whole issue, but I know also there are resources to help small businesses as far as to just keep them thriving and keep with, I hate to use the word gentrification because that's a whole nother conversation, but to keep them moving and stay up with the current trends. Are there any policies or resources that you guys are putting in place in order to say, this is what you need to do to keep up with those big bucks?
Well, Councilmember Robert Cornegie, who chairs small business, and I have the privilege of working with and for, has created and introduced some legislation similar to the residential tenant protections that are going to be very similar for commercial tenant protections.
Oh, nice.
So some of the things we've seen so far is, and you've heard these stories, Michelle, as one as a former executive director of a bid, and also in your current capacity, is that you have small businesses who water gets turned off twice a month. And that, in essence, stops them from making payroll on a monthly basis. You have businesses that have scaffolding in front of their businesses that prevent you from seeing a new business that just came up in the neighborhood. So some of those things we are now trying to legislate to make sure those things don't happen, where those things that are nuisances to small business owners can't continue to thrive. I think as a city, we can do both. We can protect residential tenants, but it would be crazy not to protect our commercial tenants as well.
Exactly. I agree with you on that one. I definitely agree with you on that one. Since summer's coming, this is always arising because it helps. It talks to businesses and it talks to employment, summer youth employment.
Yeah.
So I remember growing up, we all worked.
My first job was
We
summer
all
youth.
worked summer youth. Everyone worked summer youth.
Yeah.
It was not a problem. It was just we applied and we got jobs.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line that changed. So a lot of the youth are applying for jobs and they're not getting jobs. It's a lottery and there aren't sufficient enough jobs to supply, the demand.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything? What's the shift? What's going on with that?
So this is actually very interesting, and youth development is actually my favorite subject outside of economic development because I feel like the two are so closely connected. But primarily because I was a youth developer long before I got into government or anything like that. Currently, we have a situation where 135,000 youth are applying for summer youth jobs, and only 35,000 approximately are getting selected for summer youth jobs. And it creates not only an economic problem for households because you have a lot of single-parent households where, unfortunately, and this is just the reality, parents rely on their kids working throughout the summer to help make up some of the extra cost of the light bill, or et cetera, et cetera. They look forward to that, as well as it gives young people an opportunity to do things that are typically engaging them rather than disengaging them. So I think from a city policy standpoint, we have to do more to increase the number of summer youth jobs and opportunities, and also looking at some of our smaller businesses to actually just do internships. The best crime prevention in a lot of ways is youth engagement, right? If people are engaged, people are working from 9 to 5 and they get home tired. When I leave work, I don't have time to hang out on the street corner because I'm so beat from my work that I just want to get inside my house. So I think as a city, we ought to begin to look at increasing those numbers. But beyond just summer youth, which is just one aspect, we need to really begin to incorporate co-ops again, where students were able to go to work one week, go to school one week, and really learn some job skills throughout the course of the year.
I didn't know if those
They don't
exist any longer.
They barely
That's
exist. So you have a few schools that are called multiple pathway schools, and I had an opportunity to work at one where you have internships in the school.
Right.
But for the large part, career development and professionalism isn't taught in high school, neither is it taught in college.
Right.
Your kind of first jump at it is when you start your first internship or your first job, and we just know that as an economy, a growing economy in Brooklyn, that's not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, and when we worked at Summer Youth, we're still working today.
Yeah.
We never stop, right?
So you continue that work.
It just starts that work ethic, and from a young
Absolutely.
age, and you just keep it going till you're an adult.
No, absolutely. I think the earlier you develop good habits, the longer you keep those habits. The earlier you develop an appreciation for money and how to balance that money and how to write a resume and how to interview and developing those soft skills combined with your educational and collegiate experience, it makes you a better, more productive citizen.
And it's needed. So we need to somehow get small businesses engaged because I feel like they don't know that they are a conduit for youth in order to, keep them throughout the summer, after school. They're just not aware because a lot of small businesses are barely surviving themselves.
Yeah.
So in order for them to take on a youth, it might be a struggle.
Well, in Bedford-Stuyvesant and Northern Crown Heights, where Councilman McCornagy represents, one of the things we're doing right now is we're planning on hosting a internship fair, where some of the small businesses who we have identified in our bids and our business corridors are going to come in and show young people opportunities that may exist within the context of their small business. But from a policy standpoint, it would be good to see us incentivize that as a city, that if people begin to take on young people, that we either provide a Metro card, some lunch money, something that can incentivize that business, a tax credit to incentivize them to take a young person on, and also an incentive for the young person to want to continue to develop their skills.
Yeah, another good way would also be these small businesses, a lot of them don't have websites, don't have those mobile apps. So we have...
And if you're not on Twitter or Instagram,
you don't exist, right?
Exactly,
you don't exist. I always say that. I always tell small businesses, if you don't have an internet presence, you don't exist. Because we basically, we shop online, we look for the best cheesecake, best waffles or whatever online, and if you're not online, you don't exist.
Exactly.
So this is what our youth can actually bring to these small businesses. So
that whole infrastructure of technology, and also just from a vantage point of what does a store look like, I think young people know what they're looking for when they're going to approach a store, right?
Yeah.
Some of our stores have looked run down for far too long. Let's keep it real. And it's time to change the front of the store, the glass, and get the bulletproof glass removed and make it seem very inviting and welcome. And I think young people definitely have the capacity to kind of help steer that direction of marketability and what's the new cool in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm happy to see like bodegas are changing.
Absolutely.
If you notice, a lot of the bodegas are changing and putting
Get some coconut milk inside that.
Right. There's no more, advertising cigarettes and things like that. They're just advertising deli. So it makes a difference. It makes the neighborhood look different, and I really like that move.
And that's the part of gentrification that, while there are a lot of negative components of gentrification, I think the positive aspects of it is that it's helping communities change the way they look, right? They start to feel different, and people want to begin to invest money in those communities.
Exactly.
So I think that's the one part of it that we can all agree that has made some communities look better from an optical standpoint. But there are obviously a lot of things we could talk about, which would be another another day in the subject.
And I think it's smart for business owners who notice it and look to change, in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Business owners have to realize that nothing stays the same forever, right? Change is inevitable, so to not change is crazy.
Yeah.
So beginning to look at different models of maybe it's time to switch the business model. Maybe it's time to expand the business model. I think those are things that we definitely should work with the city in conjunction on.
So I attend a lot of community board meetings and a lot of merchant organization meetings, and I'm always stressing the fact that it's important for people to be involved because they're always voicing their opinions, and the ones where people do show up, it's a great forum to know that you're not struggling on your own, other people are struggling along with you or whatever your issue is. How important do you think it is for people to really be involved with their community? How important is that for a business owner? Do you think it's a must, or what's your opinion
it's critical. It's critical to the viability, the sustainability. No business, no person can operate in a community and not attend those civic meetings, because a lot of times people argue about information not being out there. But a lot of times I sat in community board meetings or precinct council meetings or block association meetings and heard about some of the great things that are happening. A lot of folks, I just applied for my ID NYC recently, and a lot of folks, when they introduced that months ago, didn't realize that it meant free memberships. So had you applied earlier in the year in January, you probably have a card by now for the summer to do some activities with your kids. So I just feel like...
Is it too late?
It's not too late,
okay.
so you can still go out there and go online and set the appointment. But I think it's important for people to be civically engaged. And it's also a time where a lot of elected officials or their staffs are present. I've sat in many of those meetings, taking information from business owners and actually helping to mitigate those issues before they became larger issues. So it's very important for, obviously, for public safety and civic leaders and elected officials and business owners and faith-based communities to work together. That's what really makes up a community and makes a community great. So,
how do you suggest that individuals, if you're in a neighborhood and you don't have a merchant organization, or you don't don't know who's involved and where to get involved, how does someone get involved? I
think on the most basic level, the most basic form of government is community boards. And you could actually just Google that. We Google everything, right? Like we said, you Google which the best cheesecake, but really just Googling your address and figuring out which community board represents your area, which city council member represents your area, which assembly person, and state senator. A lot of times people are getting ready for 2016, getting ready for Hillary, but a lot of times we have elections here. In fact, in 2016, we have more than just a presidential election. We have some state elections that actually have deeper implications. So I think the same energy and effort that we put into looking up things that sometimes don't hold the same value over our everyday existence, we ought to do that same energy in looking into some of those things. But civic community boards are probably the most basic form of government that one can look at. And
how do people get understanding what are the best organizations to be a part of? Like, how do they... There's local elections, but sometimes we just look at those big elections and say, okay, I know what the president is, I know what the governor and the mayor and but sometimes our local elections, we don't really understand how does that trigger or how does it affect us. Where do people get that information? Is that more of a Google thing?
It's a Google thing, but there was a great website that came out in 2013 that kind of tracked elections. I'm not sure if that's still up, but it was called Decide NYC. And a lot of the information on the website show you candidates from all different races. Was really a one-stop shop, so to speak. Ben Max, a good friend of mine, actually created the website, and he's and talks about probably expanding. He's moved on to go do something something else with the Gotham. But definitely, it's a great source. But Google is always, I think, it's become one of those things that you just do.
I know.
So definitely, I would say begin to Google that, and feel free to reach out to local offices, council offices, or community boards to find out some more information in terms of civic groups that exist.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you for
it was
having me.
awesome speaking with you.
Always great talking to you.
And I would love to definitely have you back again because we can start talking about gentrification.
Let's talk about that. We're going to need
a lot more
time.
A lot more time, and we have a lot to talk about.
Great.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brian.
Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Finding that special someone is every person's fantasy. Having a dream wedding with all of your friends and family watch you walk down the aisle to your dream mate is a dream so many of us have. However, before you consider walking down the aisle, there's a new study that has given more reason to make sure that perfect someone is in it for the long haul. Studies show that women who have gone through divorce at least once and men who have gone through at least 2 divorces are more prone to have heart attacks than those who get married and stay together. Over an 18-year study, researchers found that because of divorce, the body undergoes an intense cardiovascular change which weakens our immune system against heart attacks and other health issues. A woman who has been divorced twice is compared to somebody having diabetes and high blood pressure. A man would have to be divorced at least twice to have these same readings. Divorce causes much mental and emotional strain which stresses the body. Some individuals turn to unhealthy habits, such as smoking cigarettes, increased alcohol use, and other drugs of choice. For those who have had good reason for divorce and have come to terms with it, the results do not apply. So take your time about finding your true love. Your heart depends on it, literally. I'm here with Garcia Clark and Brad Pringle of the Science Skills Center High School. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So I would like to say, good job on your grades and excelling in school. It's really good to see 2, young teenagers as yourself excelling. Mm. What exactly is your plan in life? Your name is Brad Pringle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me a little about what exactly you plan to accomplish when you finish high school?
When I finish high school, I plan to go to college and major in computer science. I'm trying to incorporate technology and my knack for art and design. So probably later on I'm going to go into gaming, and probably that's what I'm aiming for.
You like video games? What's your favorite system?
PlayStation 3, 4,
It's a good choice, good choice. And what about for you? What do you plan on doing after you finish high school? Or would you accomplish?
I plan on going to Rochester Institute of Technology for civil engineering course. Engineering is a newfound love for me since last year, and I really enjoy it, so I would like to further my studies in it.
Okay. And I see here that you guys actually have excelling, grades in all of your classes. What exactly would be like one of your favorite classes if you had to choose out of all of them?
I think my favorite class would have to be yearbook, because I actually designed the cover for the yearbook, and since I like to design, and that's pretty much my favorite class. Yeah.
Understandable. What about for you?
My favorite class would be any math class in general, because
you're a mathematician?
Yes.
Are you good at statistics and everything like that?
Yeah, I like math. It gives me a challenge, and I look forward to it.
Okay, so is there any person in your life that actually, is one of your support team or your support system that's helping you through this time of your life?
I think it would have to be my parents, more specifically my mom. She's very supportive, and that's where I get my motivation and my drive to do my best in school.
And for you? What about for you?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Do you have any supporters that are helping you through this time of you getting these good grades and helping you through your journey of school?
Oh, my supporters would be my parents, of course, both parents, because they work very hard and very diligent, and they work very hard to keep me in check, and they make sure I never settle for less and always push me to do more and do better every time.
That's great. It's really good. Are you guys in any extracurricular activities? I see that you guys are in the student government and the National Honor Society. How exactly would one be, introduced into the National Honor Society? What are the requirements? Do you know?
Well, at our school, you have to have at least an average of an 85, and usually there's an advisor that sort of goes through a list of students, and they, aside from having an 85 average, they sort of have an idea of how a student works, how well they work in school, and that's sort of the way that a student is chosen for the National Honor Society at our school.
Okay, so how long have each of you been in the society? For a year? How long?
Since we were sophomores, I think. Yeah,
Sophomores.
And you're now seniors, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you guys plan on doing with the student government? I know you guys are a part of that. So what's your position in the student government?
Oh, I'm the vice president of the student government.
In your position?
I'm the treasurer.
Okay, so what exactly do your jobs entail? Like, what do you do to better your school? That's the point of student government,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what do you guys do in that aspect?
Well, when we have like events and well, we do mostly events. So in events, we try to incorporate the entire school. And for me, at the events, I'm usually, like if we're selling something, I'm in charge of handling the money and monetary stuff like that. So.
And what about you,
Oh.
Mr. Vice President?
I'll be working with the president to organize events such as senior prom, parties for the school, senior trip. Would help organize those events. And since our school is like 500 kids and it's like 8 student government, we have to be like the voices of all of those students. So we try to get a feel of all the students, and we have to report to the principal to tell her what the students are feeling in terms of a certain event or a certain program. Would be the voice of the students.
Oh, okay, that's good. You guys seem to have a strong impact on your school and what happens. So how do you guys keep your, outside life together? I know you guys keep good grades, so what about your social life? How is that? What are your hobbies?
Well, for me, again, it's more of the art thing. I really like to draw and paint and design. That's something that's very important to me. It's something that I've been doing for, I guess, since first grade or for a really long time. Yeah, that's sort of my main hobby, and
And what about you?
I like to play sports like soccer or table tennis because it like releases any stress that I have, and if I can't understand a problem or a question, I could like go and exercise or do something and get fit, and it like relieves my stress, so I could do better.
That's good, okay. So what colleges do you guys plan on going to after you graduate?
after I graduate, I'm planning to go to Brooklyn College.
And what are you going to study there?
Computer science. Yeah, gonna try to do like Java, HTML, and programming. Yeah, so I'm leaning towards.
That's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah.
You're gonna make the best video game ever, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. And what about you?
I plan on going to Rochester Institute of Technology, and I plan on majoring in civil engineering.
Okay. So, what else can I ask? So, outside of your schooling, and you do extracurricular activities, is there anything like community-wise that you guys are doing, such as it could be breast cancer walk or something of that nature? Are you guys into that as well?
Well, actually, for the National Honor Society, that's sort of, well, it is a requirement that we do community service. We go to breast cancer walks, AIDS walk, pancreatic walk.
Breast cancer.
Yeah, and the kidney walk as well. We also, we have a bottle drive. We've hosted a bottle drive. We collect bottles. We've done a coat drive, a toy drive, a food drive around like Thanksgiving. And that's, we try to do as much community service.
As possible.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. So, along with the community service, I know you guys have a lot of time on your hands to do community service as a school. How do you guys keep your grades up? Like, what are some study tips that you guys might have for other students who are trying to improve their grades as well?
Well, you can start first.
I normally set aside time in my schedule to make sure that I study the work that was given today, because even though I don't get homework, it's always good to like study over, because you never know when you might get a pop quiz.
Are you guys good at quizzes? Are you good at are you guys good at quizzes? Like,
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
because a lot of high school
Yeah.
students aren't really good test takers, so they say. So it's like really good to see that you guys are actually good at it.
Well, some advice or tips that I have. When you get an assignment, try to get it done as soon as possible. I learned that the hard way in middle school. For a while, I used to wait. Like if I would get an assignment, say on Friday, I'd wait till Sunday to do it if it was due Monday. And it's kind of stressful to try to cram all of your thoughts and focus for an assignment that's due the next day. So my advice would be to get it done as soon as possible and as early as possible, so that way you can really focus and put all of your attention into the work, and you can do more quality work that way.
Very
so,
true.
yeah.
And what if you just take time apart? That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, outside of everything that I already asked you, what do you guys plan on doing for the upcoming season or semester?
For the upcoming semester,
Or summertime?
summertime, okay. I'll probably visit another country, maybe go to Trinidad or Jamaica. That's where my parents are from. So I'll probably travel for the summer.
I would think that you guys use your summer months to like prepare for the.
Well, yeah, I'll be doing preparing too. I'll prepare as well. Yeah, definitely.
I would be trying to get a job this summer. Because,
Really?
Yeah.
This is be your first time ever working?
Yeah. I
Oh,
would like to get the experience before I go to college, so I could know how to deal with people better and have more communication skills and such.
okay. So besides all of this, when you go to your next school in college, what do you actually plan on being a part of? Do you want to be a part of student government there too? Do you want to, have the same reign as you had in your high school in college? Are you?
I would like to, yeah. I definitely try to be a part of as many, well, not as many, but as much as I can be a part of activities and clubs, and try to balance between my schoolwork and try to get involved.
Okay. And what about you?
I would try and join as much sports teams as I possibly could.
You would want to get a sports scholarship instead? No?
I'm trying.
Oh.
But as much sports teams, because I want to enjoy my time at college, especially since I will be going away. So I want to make sure that my time will be well spent. And plus, I will have to balance it off with schoolwork, which I don't really see as a problem, but you never know.
I do wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
And for Brooklyn 45, I'm Shanisha.